So today, the creator, Grok, released the biggest Dragon's Dogma 2 mod pack ever created. And if you're not familiar with what a mod pack is, it's not just a mod list that's been put together here. Instead, this pack will make all the mods included play well together and interconnected, and there is a lot of configuration and customizing included in this mod here. So he explains that the Dragon's Dogma mod pack is aiming at making the game more challenging and more focused on exploration. And I'm really sorry that this is not available for console players, because this looks like the complete hard mode experience that Capcom forgot to deliver. And if you're wondering why he chose the name Dogamma, well, it's made up of 3 words, which is of course Dogma, a belief or principle established and accepted as true and unquestionable. And then you have Dogammas, which is a monster from Monster Hunter World, and the word Gamma, which is from his Stalker Gamma mod, a huge mods pack for Stalker Anomaly, and that one included over 500 mods. Just judging by his previous work with Stalker, I think we're in for a real treat here. And the easiest way for me to explain what this actually means for us is that if you would install these mods separately by yourself, that would be like going into a buffet and picking different meals that don't go well together. Instead, here we have a curated 10-meal course that are well put together and balanced to make an optimal experience. But let's see what's included in this mod pack. He writes here that this mod pack focuses on making Dragon's Dogma 2 more challenging and making fights harder. I think that's all we want really. And gear harder to acquire and harder to empower. Vocations are more balanced and monster encounters more varied and more interesting. What's inside, you may ask? Firstly, bosses drop random gear, and he's been working a lot on updating the Lucky Scavenger code and improving the gear drop balance system, so the loot quality is based on the XP amount given by the boss, with a random multiplier applied to it. And we have harder boss fights, much less stagger, more damage done to the player, and more boss HP. And they have better scaling of bosses over the game. And this is very important, since this means that the earlier bosses will be easier to defeat than the later. And he writes here that some bosses can simply not be defeated until you have the proper gear and level. And don't expect to kill a Chimera or Drake at level 15. Well, in vanilla you could actually take on Drakes and Chimeras at around level 20 or 30, so this is very interesting to see. But we also have harder and more balanced smaller enemies. Even a crowd of base enemies at the start can mean your end, and if you don't get well prepared for new areas, he says here that you will be crushed. Reading these first lines here just makes me wonder how dangerous is this new world. But we're gonna play through this, and I'm gonna showcase how this looks in-game. He also writes here that in this version of the game, there are no gear in the shops, and money doesn't buy gear. You'll need to find the gear by exploring, opening chests, and killing bosses. And I think he's hitting the nail on the head here, because that's one of the biggest problems with Dragon's Dogma 2 exploration. The first time I played the game, of course I didn't know this was the case, but when you have finished the game, you know that all the best armor sets and weapons can be found at vendors. To make this even harder, he has made gear and upgrades more expensive, and upgrades also require double the amount of materials. Luckily, this can be configured within the custom difficulty tweaks mod. Also, random items drop when scavenging items in the wild, so that there's always a reason to loot everything you see. They have modified the items in chests thanks to the wild loot mod, and since we're going to be using all our money for upgrading gear, it's great that there's a random chance of looting fairy stones on dead enemies and in chests thanks to the fairy stone mod. You can also lock on during combat with lock on and dodge mod. You get less staggers for the player, which is amazing. I hate getting staggered when I'm playing the game. I think it's far too punishing and really draws out your enjoyment of the game. We also get a more permissive loss gauge, since you'll take a lot more damage in general anyway. And we have faster character movements. I think this one is really interesting, and I can't wait to see how this looks in combat. And easier weight management is appreciated. This mod also includes all the vocation rebalances by the Dullahan mod we showcased earlier, but also the random encounters thanks to the Durniger mod. And lastly, he says that there's a lot more to discover, so I'm excited to see how this all looks. Now, this mod pack is a lot harder to install than regular mods, so I will create a dedicated installation guide for this soon. And he also mentions that a new game is recommended but not required. But I think it's a really good reason to do a live stream of this new run and make a showcase video out of it later. But in the meantime, I'm working on a big Dragon's Dogma 2 video, and it looks like it's gonna be ready for this weekend. But yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys with this little snippet, and I'll see you guys in the next one.